on Sky News Business. This is Summer Money.
Hi there, I'm Chloe James and this is Summer Money, where we take a look at the latest trends in small business, personal finance and investing to get your new year started right. Ahead on the program tonight, the rise of selfie investors, why more Australians are choosing to self-manage their investments. And the health and fitness industry is developing at a rapid pace. So, where to from here? The founder of Nutrition Station joins the program to share his insights. Later, health and lifestyle coach Bryony O'Kane joins me in the studio to share her tips on avoiding burnout and keeping stress down in the office. But first, it's common knowledge that the digital landscape in China is very different to anywhere else in the world. With sites like Google and Facebook blocked by the government, it's apps like WeChat and sites like Weibo that draw millions of Chinese consumers, and I mean millions. But what is the best way for Australian businesses to make the most of these tools? Well, my first guest is certainly well placed to share his insights on the topic. Dr. Mathew McDougall lived in Beijing for 13 years and has witnessed firsthand many brands trying and failing to break into the Chinese market. Now with the daigou phenomenon, we'll get to that in full swing, he's back in Sydney and has founded DaigouSales.com. Welcome, Mathew.
Well, very nice to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. So, daigou, I said we'd get to it. Would you like to just explain what daigou means, because I didn't know, and then why your business was created?
Well, look, the term daigou relates to Chinese buying agents. So technically daigou means buying on behalf of.
Right.
And it's been a phenomenon. It's been in Australia for at least 5 years. And it started with students typically here buying products on behalf of friends and family. And now it's become industrialised. It's become much bigger. And I guess why did I start DaigouSales? It's because when I came back from China, a lot of people wanted to go to that market, but they struggled. They said, look, it's expensive, it's high risk, I can't go there. So I thought, if I leverage the Chinese living in Australia, what a great sales and marketing tool. Use these daigou as a channel, and for some brands, that will get them into that market low risk and cost effectively.
Yeah.
Hence DaigouSales.
Hence DaigouSales. It's amazing. I mean, we've had a great chat before we've come to air tonight. WeChat has over 963 million monthly active users.
Yeah.
It's just insane, isn't it, these numbers? And 3 million WeChat users living in Australia. So tell me about the rise of WeChat and then how that's helping daigou.
Yeah. Well, look, I think it's taken everyone by surprise. Most Australians I speak to still don't recognise the name Tencent, who's the parent of WeChat. And when I talk about those numbers, they're amazed. Then they ask me, well, what does it do, this WeChat? What's it about? And 2011, it first came to market. It was basically a WhatsApp sort of application, a communication tool.
Which everybody would be very familiar with.
And it's evolved. So it's now completely ubiquitous in Chinese society. So with WeChat, you not only can talk to your friends and family, you can buy your movie tickets. Even if you go to Beijing, you can walk down the street to a seller on the street selling hot potatoes, use a QR code and buy it using WeChat. So it's absolutely ubiquitous. It's a phenomena. It touches every point in someone's daily life, and it will come to Australia with a vengeance. With
a vengeance. And these are the people that you're tapping into, right? So let's move on to Australian businesses out there. I love the points you've made there, Matt, about, you know, how do Australian businesses really tap into that Chinese market? And the numbers are astronomical.
Yeah.
What is some of the advice that you have when it comes to tapping into that Chinese audience? I actually think we might have a graph showing it, but I know it's things like using WeChat. How does that help?
Well, look, WeChat makes a lot of sense simply because a lot of the consumers that brands want to talk to already exist in that marketplace or in that environment. So there's no point trying to create a website and try and find the audience to come to you, because that's costly. So it's much better if you use something like WeChat where they already exist. So it's just a matter of making yourself available. So we created DaigouSales as a marketplace within WeChat, and it allowed the brands who wanted to go to China to actually get access to those consumers very cheaply and very cost effectively.
Absolutely. And what is it says sell hero products to create market confidence. What's a hero product?
Well, look, a lot of brands that come to us are very proud of all of their products. You know, there could be 20 SKUs or 20 different products. The reality is, if you're taking a new brand to China, you can't try and market all of them at one time. You've got to pick your brands that make the most sense to that Chinese consumer. But you've got to remember, the brand that sells most in Australia may not be your hero product for China. So you've got to do your research, understand which one you're going to back, and then take that to market.
Yeah. Stepping out of that for a minute, what are the kinds of products, I'm thinking for Australian business owners out there, what are the kind of products that are really attractive to the Chinese marketplace?
Well, I guess the biggest category for Chinese buying Australian products is the mother and baby category. And everyone would be very familiar with infant formula being...
Well, that was huge, wasn't it?
Oh, and still remains. Still remains. And one of the biggest challenges we have is the perception of daigou going into Coles and Woolworths, taking it from there and sending it to China. Well, we want to change that perception. We want people to understand that the daigou are actually, you know, they're a benefit to us. If we harness them as a channel, they become an effective selling tool. Yeah. So we want to work with infant formula manufacturers. We want to be able to source that product on the daigou's behalf and then help send it to China directly for them. So we're trying to help these daigou become better business people because in turn it creates a market for our small business owners.
And it's also helping alleviate the stress, I guess, on some of the issues that we're talking about, like the baby formula issue, because you're sort of coming in there as a body to go, we can help manage this, and then we know when, you know, that Woolworths store, whatever it might be, would be kind of
Absolutely. So if we can help control that channel, it increases the perception of the Australian market against the daigou in terms of being, you know, an unfavourable thing to recognising it as a very favourable thing. But the biggest opportunity is the emerging brands that don't get a crack. These are the guys that are unknown, and yet they're a brand in Australia that's got a superb product who just wants to have a go in China. And for those guys, they have very little opportunity unless they have millions of dollars. So for the first time, these Australian SMEs can come to a DaigouSales platform and market their product cheaply and low risk. They don't have to do product registrations and labelling for the Chinese market. We do that for them and with them.
Yeah, and coming back to your 13 years experience in the market, I know you obviously are fluent in Mandarin and you know the market, so therefore I suspect you can help those businesses appear in front of the customers who most likely would need them, correct? Oh,
absolutely. Look, Brand Australia helps a lot. It's a recognised, you know, Australia as a destination for Chinese is well recognised. It's, you know, people know it as a clean and green environment, so you've already got a leg up. And then we help articulate the proposition better. We help understand who that audience in China is. You know, are they living in Beijing or Shanghai? Are they living in Tier 2 cities? We help the brand, we guide them, we mentor them, because it's in our interest to help them sell. We want them to become successful.
Your platform.
Of course, we want them to use our platform to help them sell.
No, I love it. I mean, anything to help Australian businesses.
Absolutely.
I'm obviously all behind.
Yeah.
When it comes to branding and marketing, what advice do you have for Australian businesses from a sort of a brand marketing positioning perspective?
Well, you've got to go back to why does the daigou phenomena exist? And it all comes back to the trust of products in China. The Chinese consumers have a mistrust. And it's, you know, 2008 with melamine and infant formula created a panic. So now Chinese have a natural inclination to think they're fake products. So that's why they look to source products from markets like Australia. So when we work with a brand here, one of the first things we try and do is create an authenticity with the Australian public. So one of the first pieces of advice to a new brand would be try to get into retail as fast as you can, because if a Chinese person living here can see it in a retail outlet, it creates an authenticity, it makes it feel more real. So when they advocate for it back in China, it all feels nice.
And it's trusted because it's on that
shelf. Absolutely. You know, so the imagery of it on the shelf has a lot of credibility. If it's a product that's not on a shelf, well, then we'll help take it to a daigou gift store or one of the offline places, because we need to create that sort of realness.
Absolutely. How big is this market for Australian businesses? Well,
I think most of the viewers will be completely astounded. So last year, cross-border trade by daigou represented about $800 million. Some people are saying it's up to $1 billion in cross-border trade just for the daigou, the Chinese who live in this market and send products cross-border. It's phenomenal. That represents about 50,000 Chinese doing this practice.
Wow, so it is a big revenue stream into our economy.
But not only that, it's a unique channel that can be leveraged for Australian businesses as a market entry strategy for China.
Fantastic. Just closing out here, Matt, we're at the start of 2018. What's your view for the next 12 months? And I'd love to hear your perspective for DaigouSales.com and what you'd like to achieve, and then just for generally for businesses in Australia and how they could kind of best optimise the Chinese consumer market.
Oh, I'm hugely bullish. Last year was big. This year is big. In fact, I'm a bit scared. I think last year we saw the Chinese consumer, and you've got 350 million middle-class Chinese with discretionary income wanting Australian products. The good news for emerging brands, the new Australian brands who want to go to market, the Chinese consumers want them. So they're turning off some of the established brands and saying, what's the next big thing? So they're looking for that next big thing. So I'm bullish on brands like skincare, cosmetics, health and wellness. Those are the products. So if your viewers are watching and they're in that space, be excited.
Amazing. Well, thank you. I'm not sure coming on Summer Money has helped kind of slow things down for you at all, because you've just put the call out. But listen, thank you so much for coming on. It is a huge market and so exciting for Australian businesses to be a part of. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. After the break, the rise of self-directed investors. Why are more investors choosing self-managed super funds? Stay with us.